My name is Connie Steinbach, and my story actually goes back a little over 35 years ago, and it happened with my first pregnancy. I was about halfway through the pregnancy, went to my regular, OB visit, and they couldn't get the heartbeat of the baby, I thought at the time, and which we had previously, and so they sent me over to the hospital to get things checked out, and after that they sent me back over to the clinic, and my doctor told me that actually there was more than one baby, but they both had died. And I did not go ahead and miscarry myself. And so later that week, there had to be a surgery scheduled that would help take care of that. And so that was to be just a pretty short surgery. But after that surgery took place, I was back in the recovery room, and I was like, oh my goodness, I have this really severe pain in my upper abdomen. And the nurse was like, well, you did just have surgery. And I'm like, no, this is different. It's different. And so they checked things out, and I was bleeding internally. And so they brought another surgeon in after that. He was like, when he came in, he said, so how are you feeling? And I said, I feel like I'm gonna pass out, because my blood pressure was almost single digits. And they had this blood pressure cuff on my arm that was like taking my pressure every couple minutes, and I was like, okay. And he said, well, we're gonna have to try to get you as stable as you can be, and then we're gonna have to take you back into surgery, because we're gonna have to do some repair of what happened during the first surgery. And so I'm like, and at that time I was just really, feeling it. And I was like, gosh, am I gonna die? What's happening? And also at that time, I was like, I felt like I was watching from the ceiling, from above. I was watching what was happening. I could see the nurses in and out, and putting warm blankets on me, so I guess try to prevent shock, and which I don't think happened, but anyway, then the monitors, all the beeps and sounds going on, and I was like, again, I was like, whoa, okay, what's gonna happen? But then I thought of my mom. Of course, Mike, my husband, was out in the waiting room, and I thought of my mom and my mother-in-law, and Mike, who were all out there. I knew they were praying for me, and I knew the amount of faith that they had, and it reminded me, I think, to use my faith. And at that point, I thought, and I almost giggled to myself, which is really strange at that moment, but it's like, with all this faith, it's gonna be okay. No matter what happens, everything is gonna be okay. And then the next thing that I remember is, coming to after that second surgery. So I think with this happening, in my life, I had always grown up with I think, a strong faith base. But I think at a certain point, maybe in college, I kind of drifted away a little bit. And I think this was kind of like, okay, a little shake up, a little reminder, God is always there. Well, I think, when that was happening, when I was reminded to use my faith, then it was like a calmness came over me. And I think I still feel that, calmness about what could happen here on earth and what will happen
Yeah.
after earth.
Yeah.